Hi, I'm Eleni, and I'm going to continue talking about the topic of bullying behavior. In this video, we're going to talk about self-bullying. Now, there is a misconception that bullying is merely the type of physical bullying, that someone is physically aggressive towards someone or threatening their lives or livelihoods, like if you don't do this, I'll fire you kind of bullying, or humiliating and demeaning someone or calling them names in a public space. Unfortunately, bullying is much broader, and it's part of our global culture. So we have to examine it and really peel the onion, so to speak, so that we can unpack it and move away from it and move towards something more empowering. Now, what self-bullying is like the way we talk to ourselves. It's often called self-talk. So if you notice anytime that you're on your own or you're in nature, you have any free moments, you might notice that you talk to yourself. So we all talk to ourselves, and usually in questions, but it could be in demands like do more, you didn't do enough, you're not good enough, you should have done that, there's a big list you didn't do, when are you going to get it all done? This is all part of the self-bullying process that unfortunately we learn as children in these legacy industrial model education system of focusing on outcomes without the consideration of how we feel, how we're doing, how our process is. So that is how we ended up to internalize and really embed this habit into our subconscious minds. So we tend to do this. Now, what I did is I drew up a triad that reflects the self-bullying. And you might recognize this because it's something that I've heard over and over and over in all the years I've been coaching and in all the years I've been working in organizations and talking to colleagues and clients and people in the last 30 years. But notice if you recognize it. So I started basically with a behavior because it's so common to see, like, what do we do when we self-bully? We have to push. We have to work more. We have to try harder. We don't take breaks. We're saying, well, I have to finish my work before I take a break. I demand more from myself, from others. I try to overcome the problems. It's kind of hard. And if you can notice the energetic feel of this triad, it's exhausting. I'm anxious, stressed, pressured. I'm not happy because I'm always pushing myself to do more. And what do I have to think to feel this way and behave that way? I need to work harder. I can't take a break until the work is all done. Working more gets me closer to finishing or to success. So if you notice from the use of triads is what I think influences how I feel, what I feel influences how I think, and vice versa with all of these. So these are all perfectly, in unison, right? So we recognize that. So let's say you want to stop this self-bullying because you know from all the research in the world that feeling these ways doesn't bring the best outcomes or for sure experience. So the research has shown this, but what's more important is our experience. We know this intuitively. We know very well that when we feel good, we've slept well, we know what we need to do, work passes quickly, time flies, we get things done, we progress, we manage to deal with problems, and it works. When we feel this way, we haven't slept well, we're anxious about things, we trip ourselves up, we demand a lot, we have all this self-bullying, things go slower, it's as if the time is dragging on, and we can't hardly overcome problems, and we don't get as much done as we could have if we felt better. So for the experience of feeling better and creating a life that is enjoyable and productive and creative, we decide to move to another triad. So we're going to say, how do we design a self-supporting triad? This assumes, as does HCL, human-centric leading, that we're all good, we're all smart, we all want to do our best, and if we're not doing our best, there's something in the context, in our situation. It could be a thought, a feeling, a behavior. This triad is environmental. It's definitely a block toward being motivated and doing well. So instead of saying, oh, I blame myself or I blame you, I'll say, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What frames, what mindset are you using? And that way you can move more easily toward a self-supporting triad. So now how do we go from here to here? Because this used to be a blank slate, right? So what we could do is just choose one, like how do I want to feel? How do I want to think? How do I want to behave? And I happened to choose the emotions. So I wanted to feel motivated, energized, happy, energetic, engaged, fulfilled. And why? How did I pick those? I want to feel that way. I don't want to feel that way anymore. I want to feel that way. So it just came out of my head. Whatever I want to feel. If you're drawing this out, you might say calm, neutral, relaxed. You could choose your own, feelings or emotions. It's up to you. So these are all, dedicated or customized to ourselves. This is an example. So I like to feel these ways. And I say, okay, well, what do I have to think to feel that way? Well, work is fun. This is fun, what I'm doing. The action, the work is meaningful. I matter. The work matters. I can be in flow. Consistency is key. So I have to figure out how to do things every day, even if it's a little bit, so I can move toward my goal. And then if I think this way, what do I have to do? Or if I feel this way, what do I do? And I start designing this, and I'm like, okay, if I'm motivated and energized, and I think my work matters and consistency matters, okay, what would I do? Well, I'd focus on the most important things I have to do. Not the easiest. I'd focus on the top priorities. They might be hard, they might be easy. I don't care. I'm going to focus on those. That's what energizes me, and I know that I'm getting toward my goal. I focus on progress instead of more is better. I'm like, am I moving? Am I, or the team if I'm working with other people, am I moving toward where I want to go? Am I measuring that? Am I looking and noticing that? I'm going to also design environments. And so designing environments is very difficult than overcoming. So this world, this triad in the legacy industrial model seeks to push through things. The human-centric model adopts a lot of other ideas. One is environmental design. And this is something I learned from Coachville and Dave Buck. I mean, these are a new way of looking at how to create environments that support the person. So what we do in the legacy industrial model is we blame the person. You didn't work hard enough, and therefore you have to fix it. And that's bullying. Now, what we could say is, if you wanted to do all this stuff and you didn't, what happened? Instead of blaming the individual, say, what happened? What in the environment prevented you from doing so? So it assumes the best about the people there. And in this instance, it assumes the best about me. I'm assuming the best about me. I'm saying, I know I want to do what I want to do. I love my work. I'm not always consistent, but I can design a triad that helps me focus and be consistent. So maybe I break things down, like work for 1 hour on a task or a project that's really hard for me, take a break, then work on something that's a little bit easier. But I design how I'm going to work. I design the progress, the metrics. I design how I'm going to figure out which is the top priority. So these are all up to me to design how I can create an environment, a work environment, maybe my office, certainly what I think and feel, that's part of our environments, how I relate to others. These are all influencers as to how to help me behave this way and feel this way and think this way. So we don't have to push through things. We can do things that are designed for positive outcomes. I'll give you an example. If you work in a sweatshop, the sweatshop is called a sweatshop because people are, pressured. They're pressured so much, they're anxious, they even perspire. And it's like push, 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 do better. In that environment is not designed for collaboration, creativity, innovation, coming up with new solutions to old problems. It's designed for pushing and task orientation. So that's hopefully a good example of how one environment can, demand or support a certain behavior. Let's say we redesign that and we say we're going to design a team culture where everyone feels good, everyone is respected, everyone knows what they need to do and how they need to contribute, everyone buys into the meaning and the goal of the work, and everyone is engaged, like they matter, right? They matter and the work matters. And that environment where people are treated that way and there's work to be done, everybody is very much more motivated to contribute to their ideas, to share what they've learned, like an experiment, to try different things, to collaborate with others and say, I tried this, it didn't work. What did you try? Or can you see mistakes I'm doing? I can't see it. Can we co-create and make it better? So you can see that each environment is designed to either to support or empower certain triads. And the idea through human-centric leading is firstly design our own triads, like what environments internally in our minds do we need to help us behave in positive ways, which means we assume certain things like the best out of people. We assume that people are people and not cogs in a wheel. We assume that everyone wants to do great work and therefore they will, but if they're not doing it, something's blocking them. It might be that they didn't sleep well. That, like we can't control if somebody sleeps well, but we can understand that that's a block. It's not that they don't want to work well. Or it might be that they don't have the resources. Like, the organization is, distributing resources accordingly, and somebody's project might have not got funded, and they're like, okay, well, that's a block. I can't move forward. I have to do something else. So it's really respecting the person and looking at the environment, the context, to see where the obstacles lie, and then move through those, like solve those. So if I had an obstacle of, I don't know if I'm progressing, well, maybe I can design a metric. Well, maybe that metric didn't work. I can design another one, right? So it's constantly changing and adapting, and that's why human-centric leading is customized. It's not a standardized way to lead or a standardized way to be. It's customized to humans, to us as individuals and as groups. So what I'd like to invite you to do as a function of this video is consider your own life. Think about, are you self-bullying? Do you tend to want more from yourself, criticize, judge, and blame? Always think about what you haven't done, always want more from yourself. Does this resonate with you? And if it does, what could you do to draw a self-supporting triad that is respectful toward you? No need to bully. Doesn't mean you're going to laze off with a glass of champagne every day, and do nothing. It means that you're going to do what you do in a way that you feel motivated and energized. So you can design one of these triads. You can certainly use this one if it works. And you can design one for yourself by saying, what do you want to feel? And in order to feel that, what do you have to think? And in order to, think that, what do you have to do? And if you do this, would you feel that way? And if you felt that way, would you do that? Like, you keep going back and forth until you have a triad that's like, you know what, I can do that. And then you practice it and you try it out and you see how it works.